You ever watch a man quietly die while smiling? He's usually the one carrying the groceries, fixing the Wi-Fi, nodding through arguments, sitting across from the woman who once moaned his name but now barely acknowledges his presence. He doesn't know he's dying. He thinks he's being mature, patient, kind, the man she said she wanted, but what he doesn't realize is he's disappearing, slowly. One, it's okay at a time. One forced smile at a time. One swallowed feeling at a time. And the cruelest part? He volunteered. Let me ask something no man ever says out loud. Why do women never seem to want what they say they want? They ask for sensitivity, but chase the guy who treats them like a calendar slot. They talk about partnership, but lean into dominance. They say they want a nice guy, but the moment he listens, really listens, they ghost him. Schopenhauer called it a biological paradox. I call it a crucifixion. Men are being nailed to expectations that were never real to begin with. And here's the twist, she's not lying. She's not evil. She's not manipulating. She believes what she says, but what she responds to. That's nature talking. Not her words, not her logic, her biology. And nature doesn't care about your thoughtful texts, your loyalty, or the fact that you skipped your dream to support hers. Nature is merciless. Nature is instinct. You think you're going to love her so hard that you override millions of years of evolutionary wiring? Let me tell you something that might set you free or destroy you, depending on how deep your illusions go. She doesn't want your love. She wants your gravity. She wants to fall. Not gently, but like she's being pulled into something powerful. Something she can't control, but desperately needs. And if you become too soft, too predictable, too available, too accommodating, she won't hate you. She'll just dry up. Schopenhauer didn't dress this up. He said it plainly. With women, love remains a matter of the will of nature, not of personal feeling. And if that doesn't crack your romantic illusion, nothing will. Nature doesn't filter weak men through violence. It filters them through disinterest. She stops laughing at your jokes. She stops looking at you like you matter. And you think it's your fault. So what do? You try harder. You become more romantic, more available. You walk yourself straight into the slaughterhouse wearing a suit of sincerity because no one ever told you the truth. The more you become the man she says she wants, the less you become the man her instincts need to respect. Let that sink in. What she says, that's her PR team. That's her social script. That's her cultural programming. But what she wants, that's primal, pre-verbal, and it does not care about your intentions. It does not reward good behavior. It doesn't even speak the language of your selflessness. It smells power. You think you're the good man. But if you've ever been left after giving her everything, here's the brutal truth. You gave too much and became nothing. You stopped being the mountain and became the mud. That moment when she first looked at you like you were a god, that wasn't a lie. That was real. Her eyes lit up because she felt something ancient in you, something unshakable, something complete. But do you remember when that look vanished? And the haunting part? You didn't even do anything wrong. You were more present, more giving, more emotionally available than ever. But that light was gone, replaced with politeness, fatigue, a silent internal struggle she didn't have the heart to explain. Because the version of you she adored wasn't the one trying to keep her. It was the one who didn't need her. The man with purpose, with edges, with boundaries, with a life that existed before her and would exist without her. Schopenhauer said, "A man can be himself only so long as he is alone. And if he does not love solitude, he will not love freedom." That's terrifying because most men today aren't free. They've rented out their emotions to the mood swings of someone who claims to love them but no longer respects them. And when that respect dies, your relationship becomes a daycare. You go from king to caretaker without even noticing. She says, "You've changed." But the truth? You softened. And nature doesn't reward softness without strength. Let me put this straight. You can't negotiate attraction. You can't earn desire with loyalty. You can't beg your way into the throne you once sat on effortlessly. This isn't because love is broken. It's because you were never taught the rules. You were taught to take her words literally, like a contract. She says, I want communication. You think that means more talking? Number. It means clarity. A man who commands the room with his silence. She says, I want vulnerability. You think that means opening up like a diary? Number. She meant emotional leadership. A man who's mastered his chaos and shares it selectively. She's not lying. She just doesn't speak your language. And Schopenhauer saw this misalignment with laser clarity. He didn't write fairy tales. He wrote autopsies of love, of illusion, of male suffering. He wrote, in their hearts, women think that they were created only for the propagation of the species and not for the sake of man himself. That means she's not trying to understand you. She's trying to feel you. And feelings don't care if you are nice. They don't care if you were kind. They don't care if you were perfect. They care about energy. You're not competing with other guys. You're competing with that gut level response she has when a man walks into the room and commands it. Not through arrogance, but through presence. And the second she feels like she's got you figured out, she's gone. Because mystery died. And when mystery dies, so does attraction. So now she's quiet. Not angry, not distant, just quiet. She's stopped asking questions, stopped complaining, stopped initiating, and you thinking everything's fine. Take it as peace. But it's not peace. It's the funeral song of her desire. And most men, they don't hear it. They start buying more gifts, writing longer texts, planning more romantic nights, all trying to revive what used to be effortless. But you can't romance your way back to the throne once you've been demoted to servant. Because here's what no one tells you. The you she wanted wasn't the man who gave her everything. It was the man who gave her something to admire. The man who didn't beg for her affection. The man who didn't over-explain. The man who didn't lose himself in trying to keep her. She doesn't want to lead. She wants to follow a man whose direction is so clear it silences her doubts. Not because he dominates her, but because he doesn't need her approval to be whole. That's the core difference. That's what Schopenhauer saw when he said, a man who is not master of himself is not fit to be the master of anything, least of all a woman's heart. Most men today are trying to be liked, but being liked isn't power. Being liked is a costume. Power is presence. Power is restraint. Power is knowing who you are and never negotiating that identity for comfort. You were taught to be her emotional support dog, not her flame. But here's the truth. She doesn't want to be your therapist. She doesn't want your tearful transparency. She doesn't want the monologue of your inner child. She wants your energy, not effort. Effort is transactional. Energy is spiritual. You can plan perfect dates, write beautiful poetry, be there through everything, and it still won't matter if your spirit is starving. Because when your masculinity is malnourished, everything you give starts to rot in her hands. That's why the nice guy always loses to the man with dangerous calm. Not because she's toxic, not because he's some alpha cartoon, but because one feels like a man, the other feels like a strategy. And women don't fall for strategies. They fall for energy. Unspoken, felt, ancient. You think you're being rejected because you're not good enough. Number. You're being rejected because you became too available, too understandable, too explainable. The moment she can predict your every move, every word, every emotion, she stops feeling. And when there's no mystery, there's no tension. And where there's no tension, there's no attraction. You became her emotional employee, not her man. And I get it, that hurts. But let that pain burn through the delusion. Because this isn't about hate. This isn't about punishing women or punishing yourself. This is about remembering who you were before the world told you to perform. You can't fix this with flowers. You resurrect yourself. And that resurrection doesn't start with her. It starts with you saying, I would rather be alone than unseen. That's the line in the sand. That's the rebirth. That's what Schopenhauer meant when he said, he who seeks solitude has discovered that the world, especially the social world, cannot satisfy him. Solitude isn't a sentence. It's a recalibration. Because when you return to your power, your purpose, your presence, women feel it. You don't have to seduce. You just exist. And suddenly, she's the one texting. She's the one wondering. She's the one trying to earn your presence. But this time, you're not performing. You're choosing. You know what the biggest lie ever sold to men is? That if you just love her enough, hard enough, deep enough, loud enough, she'll love you the same. That if you just prove you're loyal, safe, soft, and stable, she'll wrap her arms around you and say, finally, a real man. But Schopenhauer knew better, and so do you. Because you've been there. You've given your all. You've bled for it. You've cried for it. And somehow, it still wasn't enough. Not because you were lacking, but because she felt too safe. And safe without strength becomes boring. She didn't want to leave. Her biology compelled her to. That's why she fell for the guy who barely tried, the guy you called toxic. But what you're seeing isn't madness. It's nature. Love, for her body, not her brain, isn't about spreadsheets and kindness charts. It's electricity, voltage, polarity. It's the gravitational pull of a man who knows who he is. And that can't be faked. You can't study it. You can't memorize lines. You either become that man or you don't. Because if you're still the boy waiting for her to get it, you'll always lose to the man who already has it. She'll never stay with a man who bends to win her. Because she doesn't want to be the prize. She wants to belong to a man who's already won himself. That's it's not. But if you've made it this far, if you're feeling this, then maybe you're ready. Ready to stop seeking validation from women who don't even validate themselves. Ready to walk away from tables where you have to beg for what should come naturally. Ready to stop being liked and start being undeniable. The throne isn't lost. It's waiting. And now it's time to sit on it.